And so what we should look for in the next few months is that an exasperated Trump administration will finally throw up its hands and say, you can't deal with these people, but they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. At that point, one of two things will happen.
Is in a very precarious predicament when things seem to be coming to a head, when it has to do with nuclear power. God created this world, and there have been many discoveries that have been revealed over the millennium. In every generation, a different revelation has become. Up until the industrial energy, things seem to have been developing at a very slow pace. And then once the industrial revolution became, and all of a sudden, the development seemed to have gone into a whole different pace. And as the world continued to grow and mature, since World War II ended, the discoveries that we have been able to unveil that lies in the secrets of the world. One of those discoveries is nuclear power, nuclear energy. It was always there from creation. The atom was always there. But it took, in this generation, for us in the 19th century to have the ability to begin understanding the concept of splitting the atom. This has truly been a gift from God to be able to uncover such an amazing power that seemed to have been dormant all along. But like everything else that God has created in the world, it is our choices. What do we do with it? When metal was discovered, and we were able to create knives, we can choose to use the knife to cut a tomato, or we can use a knife, God forbid, to stab someone. It is our prerogative. It is our freedom of will and choice to how to use the gifts that God gives us and how to use it in this world to embetter this world, to make this world a better place. We all know about the Nobel Prize winner, that every year a select group of great accomplishments receive the Nobel Prize. Who was Mr. Nobel? Where did this prize come from? Mr. Nobel was the one who discovered dynamite. And he was so excited about this amazing invention that he was able to use this dynamite to be able to open up mountains, to create roads, to connect cities, to connect countries. And then he learned how this same dynamite began to be used in warfare. And he was so devastated that his invention would cause so much death that he turned around his whole fortune and dedicated it towards the embetterment of humanity. And that is where the Nobel Prize comes from. Nuclear power can indeed be a power to be used to enhance the life of humans. But in the wrong hands, it can be the most destructive powers. True, the atom bomb ended World War II. In spite of the terrible destruction and the losses of lives that it occurred, World War II ended, and the world has changed in ways that we could have never imagined. But we learned a lesson from it. We learned the energy and the power that needs to be channeled to better our lives, to promote life, to sustain life, and not the opposite. We are currently at a crossroads. The world is, with nuclear power falling into the wrong hands. It is quite obvious the axis of evil that's living in our times is in Iran. They are seeking nuclear warfare for one and only specific purpose: to annihilate Israel and United States of America. Negotiations will never get us anywhere. You cannot negotiate with an enemy who is swearing to annihilate you. We cannot negotiate with a nation, with a country, people who have terrorized the world since the revolution. The evil must be stopped. The axis of evil must be eliminated. The chances of coming up with a nuclear deal that can be trustworthy is less than 0%. We hope that the powers to be don't get deceived and don't fool themselves that we can negotiate with terrorists. Please listen to this talk by Mr. Victor Davis.
We're right in the middle of negotiations with Iran. Donald Trump feels that they are historically vulnerable. The Assad regime is gone, kaput, vanished. Hezbollah has been reduced dramatically in its effectiveness. Hamas is, I don't know what you'd call Hamas. It's living underground among the rubble of Gaza. The pressure is all on Iran, militarily, diplomatically, economically. Donald Trump thinks that he, with this maximum pressure, putting this crushing oil embargo, which by the way Joe Biden lifted, that he can bring them to negotiations one last time. Personally, I don't think he can. Nothing that that regime has ever said is accurate. So what is the likely scenario? Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Just recently, the Houthis, that is the terrorist organization that controls half of Yemen and has been hit hard by the United States for its interruption of maritime commerce in the Red Sea and its serial attacks on Israel, has been, I guess you would say, neutered. Its port facilities, its airport, a lot of its missile depots, its command and control have all been neutralized. But yet here they are with a vestigial force. They just sent a missile, not just into Israel, but into Israel's International Ben Gurion Airport, and almost hit one of the terminals. Didn't kill anybody, but it made a huge crater right on the periphery of the airport grounds. And for some reason, it was not intercepted by Israel's tripartite missile defense system. Let me add another incident. Just recently, almost at the same time, 4 more terrorists were arrested in the United Kingdom for organizing Iranian-inspired terror against citizens of Britain. And of course, we remember that Iran was involved in an effort to assassinate Donald Trump. What am I getting at is we're right in the middle of negotiations with Iran. Donald Trump feels that they are historically vulnerable. The Assad regime, their lifeline to the Arab world is gone, kaput, vanished. They can't use the Damascus airport to airlift weapons for Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been reduced dramatically in its effectiveness. Hamas is, I don't know what you'd call Hamas. It's living underground among the rubble of Gaza. And then, of course, the Houthis, as I mentioned, have been attacked. Israel has demonstrated that it can penetrate at will the supposedly formidable air defenses of Iran. The United States, in addition, is building up its strategic bombing force, Diego Garcia and areas, that can reach Iran with the capability of dropping these 20 to 30,000 pound bunker busters. We have 2 carriers that will soon be assembled near there. What am I getting at again? The pressure is all on Iran, militarily, diplomatically, economically, socially, culturally. What do I mean by that? Culturally, there is about 30 to 40% of the country are non-Farsi Persian speakers, and they're very restive, angry, power outages. The regime is unpopular. It's diverted billions of dollars to these terrorist appendages that now didn't pay off, that they're defunct. And so Donald Trump thinks that he, with this maximum pressure, putting this crushing oil embargo, which, by the way, Joe Biden lifted, that he can bring them to negotiations one last time. Personally, I don't think he can. Nothing that that regime has ever said is accurate. Nobody in the MAGA movement wants an optional war in the Middle East, but they will have nuclear weapons perhaps in a year. So what is the likely scenario? The likely scenario is they will lose face if they negotiate away their nuclear weapons. That is the only lever they have over Western powers now that their terrorist children are all gone. So I don't think they're going to make a deal. They're going to delay, lie, use the Houthis, and they are playing with fire. Because once Donald Trump gives them an opportunity for a peaceful way out of their dilemma, that is, they can negotiate an end to their nuclear program, they don't need nuclear power. They have the 4th largest fossil fuel reserves in the world. They have enough energy for themselves and for export for endless amount of time. And yet they still are working on this nuclear project, not for peaceful energy generation, but to have a nuclear deterrent. And so what we should look for in the next few months is that an exasperated Trump administration will finally throw up its hands and say, you can't deal with these people, but they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. At that point, one of 2 things will happen. I should say one of 3 things. Israel will hit back because of the Houthis' attack on its airport, and that could come sooner or later. Or the United States will intervene. I don't think it'll intervene on its own, or there will be a joint Israeli-American operation. But by the end of the year, I don't think Iran will have a nuclear deterrent. And then we're going to be watching a mystery unfold. If it should be hit, and if it should lose its nuclear potential, what will be the reaction of the Iranian people? Will they be angry that their national sovereignty has been attacked? Or will they be delighted that this 50-year hated regime is now gone and they don't have to spend money on these Arab terrorist groups that have brought them no profit? That'll be something to see, and I think we'll see it at the end of the year. Thank you very much. It's Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal.
Indeed, their
Thank you for tuning in to the Daily
and their
Signal.
appreciation
Please
and
like,
realizing
share, and subscribe.
that Iran truly does not have any chance of acquiring a nuclear weapon, because Israel and the United States are not allowed that to happen. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu has been saying this for decades already, trying to get the world to wake up and to realize before it is too late. Certainly, what's going on in the Middle East is troubling for the whole world. We are all in this world together. God created us all as human beings, and He entrusted the world into our care. He entrusted us human beings to look after His world, not to destroy it, not to kill each other, but to actually love each other as yourself. That is what God's intention was. The day you and I were born, God said the world can no longer exist without us. What does that mean? The world can no longer exist without us, which means each one of us has a specific mission. When we realize and appreciate that our fingerprints have never been here in the world before, and they'll never be again. There are no duplicates. There's no one else like you that was ever or will ever be. So we are a unique, hand-picked, godly soul by God to come to this world, to make this world a better place. Not to destroy it, but to build it. To create this world to be a dwelling place for spirituality, for God. And that's something that you and I can do. We are not foots on the ground dealing with the Iranian nuclear program, but we are dealing with our own life, in our community, in our family, in our workplace, that each one of us can make a difference. And collectively, that difference becomes a huge, beautiful light in the eyes of God. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. How much more so a lot of light? So in times of uncertainty like this, it is not times for us to worry, but it's times for us to get stronger. It's time for us to get our energy into task, because we are going to win this war. We are going to win it in the battlefield. We're going to win it at home. We're going to win it in our hearts. And that happens through random acts of goodness and kindness. By studying the Bible, renewing your faith in God, reconnecting with God, having a conversation with God, because God wants to hear from you. God is waiting to listen to you, and he will answer you. We need all the help we can. And do not fear, because God is with us, will always be with us. God bless you. God loves you.